Hello everyone, my name's Hunter and I'm here with my mother, Holly Maxwell Boydell, and I'm going to be asking her a few questions today for this little video. So I've got a few questions down here and I thought we'd start with an easy one, Mum. Although actually it's not that easy, but it's straightforward. I'd like you to please rate your top 3 favourite musical artists.
I don't know about rating them, but I can...
Or at least just tell us who the top 3 would be, in no particular order.
Right, well, I have lots and lots of favourite music artists. I love music across the full range of genre. But my instinctual answer would be, first up, Bob Marley.
Classic, good answer.
Then I think I'm going to go with Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Having grown up with his music and then lost it for a long time, and he having been found again, which was brilliant.
Yeah.
And to choose a female artist, I think I would go with Whitney Houston.
Very good.
But it's difficult to choose 3.
Yeah, sure. No, it is hard to just pick 3. Thank you, you did very well on that one though. It's a hard question. So I wanted to ask next a bit about your life, because you've obviously lived in a lot of different places. And some people might not realise that you lived on 3 continents, in fact. So I was wondering if you could give us a quick rundown of just a few of the key locations you've lived in over your life so far.
Yes, I've lived on 3 continents so far.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say lived on, I've actually lived and worked and been fully involved with life in a number of different places. I was born and grew up in South Africa in a very British environment in Natal. I was born in Durban, which is on the east coast, but we moved quite often while I was growing up, and as a result I have lived in most parts of South Africa. I've experienced a range of different environments there, from the very British to the very rural, and everything in between. I've also lived in the UK, in London and in Edinburgh and in rural parts near Edinburgh, and in Australia, where I lived first time round for 14 years. I have a fair amount of experience of the country, but not nearly as much as I would like to have.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I was born in Australia, of course. So,
exactly,
yeah,
that's when
that's
my
where I
children
came
were
into
born.
the adventure. Yeah, so I want to talk about your writing especially today, because you've done a lot of writing throughout your life so far. It's taken the form of poetry, you've done journaling very regularly, kept a journal, and there's also, most recently, a lot of material on your blog at the Holly Tree Tales, on a whole range of different topics. And so I wanted to ask you first of all, if you could name 3 writers who you especially love, or who've especially influenced you over the years or more recently in your own writing.
Well, I have been reading and writing since I was a little girl. That's a hard question to answer.
Yeah. Any 3, not necessarily the top 3.
No, well,
just some of the
instinctually, I'm going to go right back to very young childhood. I'll go right back to when I was 7 years old in boarding school and reading Anne of Green Gables.
Classic.
By Ellen Montgomery, I think. Is that right?
So. Yeah.
And David Copperfield by Dickens. Is that right?
That's right. That is right. Yeah.
I loved. I haven't read his books for years. I love P.G. Wodehouse. I used to love reading Agatha Christie.
Yeah.
But nowadays I tend not to read novels. I simply don't have the hours in the day.
Yeah. I
love personal development. That's one of my hobbies. I just love to grow and learn from others and be mentored. And at the moment, one of my current favourites is John Assaraf.
Oh, he's good.
Who is a life coach and author and the CEO of Neurogym, which is a brain training company. And I think that's probably, I could probably spend an hour on that subject.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Yes, I do have lots of favourites.
Yeah.
And may I do a little plug?
Of course.
I do have a reading list that's being developed.
Oh, it's on the blog, isn't it?
On the blog.
So if our viewers go to the Holly Tree Tales and find, is it under books and authors at the moment?
Yes, but they could specifically search for reading list.
Reading list, and then you'll find links to a lot of the books there, which you'd recommend.
That's exactly it.
Perfect. So another question about your writing, because you mentioned that you've been writing since you were a little girl in various different forms. So I was wondering if you can remember your earliest piece, or just something you remember coming up with when you were very young.
I'm relying on instinct a lot.
Yeah.
School compositions probably come to mind. Journaling, I have, fortunately, amongst the few things that I have from my childhood, I do have my teen journals.
Wow. That must be quite interesting.
I also have a few letters, not many, but a few. So I would probably say that some of my writing was in the form of love letters.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. A lot of great literature is.
And does that answer
that
the
does,
question?
thank you. Because I think it shows that a lot of your writing has always been either autobiographical, or it's been kind of based in real life, or it's been about telling about other people's experiences or relationships and things like that, rather than like fiction or
Yes.
something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yes.
Well, so this is a slightly different question, but I know that you obviously have a huge amount of wisdom to share, which I benefit from all the time, and which I think your readers on the blog benefit from too. And so I wondered specifically if there's a key message that you want to share with people of my generation or younger generations than me, who, you might have a particular thing in mind for us.
Having had a range of experiences, to give you the shortest answer I can, I would take you right back to foundation.
Yeah.
And I would say, set out to live a life where you feel happy with yourself, where you don't feel that you've done something that would hurt another person, where you can go to sleep at night time knowing that you haven't harmed someone or something else. Because there is nothing like the peace that comes with a calm and clear conscience.
Yeah.
We all make mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes. But the place that I get the greatest peace now is knowing that I'm living my life from a place of authenticity, and there is nothing to beat that. Nothing. So I can live with myself, and when I speak about anything, it's coming straight from my heart. No theory, no studies, nothing can match that.
Yeah.
So I would go with authenticity, clear conscience, treating others as you would like to be treated, and always looking for the light, always expecting the best, and a bit of wisdom here, plan for the worst, but expect the best.
Yeah.
Planning is important.
Yeah. Thank you, Mum. Yeah, that's a really good one. So this is a slightly different one, but obviously I'm a big fan of films, and we've watched lots of good films together over the years. So I was wondering whether, as a sort of takeaway for our audience, whether there's one particular film that you love, which you think everyone should see, and if so, why does that film mean so much to you? And what is it about that film which makes you think this needs to be seen by everyone?
Right, well again, I could come up with lots of examples of films I love, and instantly I think back to when I was, again, very young. There was a film called Melody, which disappeared off the circuit, and somebody discovered it somehow a few years ago. It's charming. I forget who made it. It might be a Disney film, but it's very sweet.
It's really good, yeah.
And so I would love everybody to see and enjoy that. I think there's a lot of magic in that.
Yeah. It's got a great Bee Gees soundtrack, if I remember.
It does. Bee Gees were favourites of mine too when I was growing up, and I still love their music. Out of Africa is a favourite of mine. I've seen that film many, many times. I love the acting, I love the story, I love the continent of Africa.
Yeah.
I love the filming of it, just the whole vibe. So it has its challenging parts, but I would definitely recommend that as a film.
Yeah.
A film I would love everybody, well, there are two films I would love everybody to see.
Yeah, sure.
First of all, I'm going to say Invictus.
That's a great film, actually. Yeah, I agree. Definitely, yeah.
And my reason for that is that Nelson Mandela is played very well in that film. All the characters in that film, I think, are represented well. I think the story is told very well.
Yeah.
And it's lovely to see a story about South Africa that is positive.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is that when I first came to the UK in 1985, it was a very different story.
Yeah.
And I do remember arriving in Britain and feeling bad about the place I'd come from, when others would ask me questions, and I would always feel that there was a bit of antagonism. So it's lovely to see stories of hope coming out of South Africa. Nelson Mandela, like so many people around the world, was such a loved figure, and I am amongst the many who really, really admired him. And I was so grateful to him for doing so much for the country.
Yeah.
And I was grateful that South Africa has somebody like that to draw inspiration from. So I would recommend the film for the reasons it's enjoyable, it's got a lot of meaning, and personally it has meaning for me. And there's good story content in there.
Yeah, it's really good.
It is good, and it's really inspiring, and the poem Invictus is incredible.
Yeah.
So I get into that.
Yeah.
I will mention a second film as well, and I'll give this a bit of a plug. I'm going to say Searching for Sugar Man.
That's a great movie. Yeah, that deserves a plug, definitely.
It became more mainstream, but initially when it came out it was quite alternative. I think it was first shown at the Sundance Festival.
So, yeah.
It's a wonderful story, and the incredible thing is that Rodriguez, who is the star of the film, had been thought to have died. And so the story is a story of hope. It's a hard-hitting story. It's beautifully shot.
Yeah.
It's made, I think most of the content of the film was actually created using an iPhone.
Wow.
But one of the special things for me there, and I've seen the film a number of times for all sorts of reasons, one of the really special things is that my cousin is married to Craig Stradom, who is one of the two gentlemen who found Rodriguez.
Yeah.
So that just gives me goosebumps.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
And I would highly recommend the film for all the reasons I just mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah. No, so yeah, go and watch Invictus and Searching for Sugar Man, and then look at the reading list on the Holly Tree Tales for some more great hits in the literary world. So yeah, well, I think that's all we've got time for today, Mum. But thank you very much for this interview. It's been very fun and enlightening for me. And yeah, so if our viewers haven't, for some reason, come across the Holly Tree Tales yet, then they should obviously go over there straight away. What can they expect when they get there? What sort of content?
Well,
I'm putting you on the spot a bit here, but yeah.
Right. The content has evolved, but it's sticking fairly much to the original themes, which are parts of my life story. So partly autobiographical, some of it a little bit disguised, a lot of philosophy in there, lots of things that can be used in leadership and in looking for hope in times of trial. I hope that readers will be able to identify with a lot of what they find there.
Yeah.
There are over 250 blog posts that have been added over the last 4 or 5 years, I can't remember now. But if you go to the landing page or any of the pages, you'll see down the side there's a description of what you might find in the blog. I speak on sustainability a lot, various environmental things. I'm passionate about that. I'm really passionate about children being brought up strong in themselves and loving themselves so that they become balanced adults with the best chance of success. So that comes through as well. And quality leadership, I think we all need to benefit from. So it's a fairly wide range, and there is poetry on the blog. I have featured a few other poets, but mostly it's my own poetry. I don't think of myself as a poet, but I do have poems that I've written.
Yeah.
And would you like me to tell you what the web address is?
Yeah, tell them that now. Well, I'll just finish up by saying thank you very much for watching this video. Please hit like and subscribe underneath, and stay tuned for more great interviews with Holly, which will definitely be on the way at some point. And in the meantime, go and check out the blog, which you can find at this address:
www.thehollytreetales.com.
That's the one. Thanks for watching, everyone. It's bye from us.
Bye.